Hey guys, Nexi here, back with another video. Today we're gonna do the review of Anycubic Photon, a DLP 3D printer, so stay tuned! Now, DLP 3D printers is a cheaper alternative to much more expensive SLA 3D printers, where SLA stands for stereolithography and SLA 3D printers using laser to cure UV resin, where DLP stands for digital light processing, and DLP 3D printers like this one use LCD screen as a filter with UV LED light source, and that cures UV resin layer by layer. DLP 3D printers working similar like projector, and they're offering similar print quality like SLA, but with much lower price. Now, in terms of print quality of SLA or DLP 3D printers versus any other regular FDM 3D printer, difference in a print quality is huge. Especially printing miniatures, small and tiny objects, both SLA and DLP are much more superior and much more precise than any other regular FDM 3D printers. Since there is no X and I movement, there is no nozzle, hot end, heated bed, extruder, filament, complicated print settings or anything else which applies on FDM 3D printers except Z-axis movement, and that's it. Now, on the other hand, with DLP and SLA, there is more post-processing after printing is finished. You have to use the gloves and wash and clean print in alcohol from resin. You have to cure it on the sun or with UV lamp, then prime it or even paint it to get finished part. On FDM 3D printers, when the printing is done, you have pretty much finished product. So both have their advantages and their disadvantages. And now, back to unboxing. So when you take everything from the box, this is what you're gonna find. First, we're gonna take a look at the printer itself. On the front, there is a 2.8-inch touch screen. On the back, there is a DC plug. On the left, there is a carry handle. And on the right, there is a carry handle, on-off switch and USB plug. Next, we have 72-watt adapter, power cord, 4GB USB stick, hinge, some tools, user manual, resin, build plate, mask, gloves and filters. And now let's have a look at the user manual. I'm gonna show you here every page, and if you want to read some of the details, you can always pause the video. Overall, very good instructions, and it gives you plenty of information how to set up and use the printer, how to install the software, how to slice it, add support, so everything that you have to know is in this user manual. And in the manual is this replacement foil for the resin tank or watt, very nice of Anycubic for giving one extra spare. Now the build plate has this hand rotation knob, which makes it very easy to reinstall. It's made from aluminum and it feels heavy and solid. Printing surface, it's not the flat, it's more like the spiral groove like on the old records, if you look under the zoom. I presume this will make print sticks better. First, I installed the handle. Then I unwrap the AC power cord and the power adapter, and I plug into the printer. Then I open the lid, unscrew the two holding screws on the side of the resin tank or watt. Here is how does it look. It feels very heavy and solid. And underneath is this 2K LCD screen, which in combine with UV light underneath make your prints. And now let's have a look at the printer software. If we click here on the system, we can change language to Chinese or to English. There is a service which leads to Anycubic, then info. Then if we click here on the back, we can go to the tools, move Z. We get UV detection. We can set Z to 0, but only when we go home first. And if we click here on the print, we can select prints. And now we need to level the printer before we can start printing. To do that, we have to attach the build platform and unscrew adjusting screw so the platform can be free like this. Then I place the A4 paper and press home. Then I lower the platform until I feel resistance on the A4 paper, and then I tighten up the adjusting screw and set the Z height to 0. Then I lift up the platform and I remove A4 paper, and then I clean the watt. and then I carefully reinstall it back on the printer. And now we can pour the resin in a vat about 1/3. I zoom in here so you can see the limit line. And now we can close the lid and the printer is ready. When you plug USB stick on the computer, this is what you're gonna find. There is a Chinese and English instructions, and there is a PDF file with exactly same instructions like in a paper form, and there is a slicing software which I have installed. And now we are inside the slicing software. Let's open one test model. On the left side there is 4 icons. You can change views, rotate, scale and move object around. On the right side you can change layer thickness. The default is 0.05 mm or the 50 microns. Other than that, you don't need to change anything. In the support menu, you can add light, medium or heavy support. You can customize those support. You can add a raft or click on auto support to be only on platform or in the full. Here, for example, is auto support on the platform. You can see how does it look. And if you click right here, we can add the full support. Or you can add support only one by one, exactly where you want it to be. Or for example, you can add full support and then delete only those supports that you don't want to be printed. And here we can see the specs of the screen, the resolution, and the maximum build size. For slicing the model, you just click on this icon and you save your G-code. And the print time with this model will be 2 hours and 26 minutes on the 50 microns, and if we click here on the preview, we can see all the layer how this model will be printed. And now let's slice it one more time on 0.1 mm or 100 microns and compare the printing time. Once again, we're gonna just save over it. And the new time is 1 hour and 15 minutes, which is pretty decent. But for example, if you wanna print multiple prints in the same time, your printing time will be the same, because the only time which counts is the curing time per layer. So for example, here I add 2 of those models, I'm gonna add 1 more, and then we're gonna slice it again and we're gonna compare the time. So under the same resolution, 100 microns, we're gonna slice it 1 more time. And the time which we're gonna get is exactly the same, 1 hour and 15 minutes, which is pretty cool. Compared to FDM 3D printers, if you had 3 exactly same model, your time will be tripled. When you save your G-code, plug the USB stick in a printer, select print, select your model, and select play. And here is a close-up look when DLP 3D printer is printing. It's very cool to see how they are totally different from FDM 3D printers. On the screen you can see the status bar in a percent and you can see remaining time. And the printing is now finished. It took 5 hours and 12 minutes with the test G-code on the USB stick. Alright, for taking off the print we need the gloves. We need to open the lid, unscrew the build platform, close the lid because we don't want to expose the resin to the UV light. And this is how my first test print turns out. I think it looks great, but we need to clean the rest of the resin. I used a removable tool from the kit, but later on I used the razor blade because it was much easier to remove the prints with. And then you need isopropyl alcohol and 1 bowl to clean the prints out. You can just shake model a little bit in alcohol, or you can use the toothbrush. Of course, the best way to clean the model from the resin is to submerge the whole model into the isopropyl alcohol and leave it there for a few minutes. The print now is clean, and now we need the UV lamp to cure it, to make it more stronger. For doing that, you need some kind of UV light source, and I'm using this nail UV lamp. For this model, just a few minutes in this lamp, it's enough. And this is our model now totally cured. I didn't want to use any primer here, I just want to show you exactly how it is. And this is it. I think this is a totally fantastic print, and the quality is outstanding. This is so much better than any FDM printer that I own, and I cannot wait to print more. In this video review, I printed over 20 test prints. So my next test print will be this medieval castle, but in 10% scale. This time I submerge the print in an old glass and I leave it there for 10 minutes. And this is the results. 45mm medieval castle. I place the model on the mobile phone and I turn on the flash so I can show you guys all the details because it's very hard to see. This model turns out absolutely fantastic. Here under the zoom you can clearly see all the details and the towers, and everything is absolutely gorgeous. For my next print I decided to print this Viking warrior and I left the printer working over the night. But unfortunately I forgot to add more resin and the print was not finished all the way. And my warrior was missing half of the horns and half of the helmet. Even so, I decided to continue and I take off all the support, which was very easy to do, and then I spray it with a prime, which I brought in a local store. When you prime the model, make sure that you go in a short burst instead of just pressing it and throw a lot of prime on it, because the more prime you add, the less details you're gonna get. After the spraying of the prime, I slice the model one more time and I print my Viking, rest of the horns and rest of the helmet, which then I glue up with one drop of resin, cure again, and then Dremel and prime again. And this is the results. Absolutely fantastic print. I am really impressed how this turned out. And the best part is about this kind of prints is that you can Dremel, you can sand them, and then you can repaint them. It's very easy to fix, and the level of details, I mean, this speaks for itself. And if you're an artist, for example, you can add different colors and paint this model exactly how you want it and make it much more realistic than right now with this silver primer. And by the way, this is printed at 50 microns, standard settings, and this is 100% in-field solid model. For my next print, I decided to print Sophitia from the website PinShape. I printed her with a yellow resin and then I apply prime coating. And this is the results. She is looking great. I sprayed a little more primer in the face area, but even so, she is looking great. Now the Viking has a wife too. Now for my next print, I decided to print Eiffel Tower in a black resin, and this is the results. The Eiffel Tower looking absolutely great. Look at this, all details. Every single part on this print is absolutely perfect. I mean, to achieve this level of detail on FDM 3D printers at this scale, it's impossible. Absolutely fantastic. Even the fence is still there, not even one imperfection in this print that I found. And even the top is printed perfectly. Awesome. Impressed with the results so far, I decided to find all kind of detailed 3D models and then print them with this printer, so you guys can have a pretty clear picture of what this Anycubic Photon is really capable of doing. And not only this DLP 3D printer, the SLA 3D printers as well, this whole concept of this insane level of details that DLP and SLA 3D printers can achieve, for me it's really exciting, and this brings the 3D printing on the next level. And the best part of DLP 3D printers is that they are closing that huge gap in a price between SLA and the FDM 3D printers, offering very similar print quality of SLA in much lower price point. I will be honest, it's a bit messy work and you will get your hands dirty. Resin is smelly, some more, some less, depending on manufacturer, and you need the constant airflow to print in a small room, but level of the details and the print quality of this Anycubic Photon is absolutely insane. I was blown away how much you can scale down these models and still get awesome details. This machine is so well built, in a compact size, simple design, and it's so easy to use, so you can achieve this amazing type of print quality simply by clicking on the button. You don't need any 3D printing skills for using this machine, because none of the printing rules of the standard FDM 3D printers is no longer apply on DLP or SLA 3D printers. Of course you need to have some painting skills, but you don't have to prime or paint your models if you don't want to. Of course you have to know that if you don't coat your prints with a prime or with a paint and you expose your prints to heavy UV radiation light for a long period of time, they will start to lose color and the structural strength. So that's why it's recommended to prime or paint your models to save them for overexposing to UV light. And one more small drawback that I have to mention is that in a slicing software there is no percentage of infill because the model is been printing in a liquid, So you have to have hollow design models from the start if you don't want to print models in a solid form and save some resin. Some of the models may need drain holes to be printed correctly depending on the size or the model complexity. Look at this yellow beard model and the level of the details. It's simply amazing. And then, since I love the Hulk movie and especially the first part, I had to print the Hulk model, and I used the yellow resin and I had some support on the hands, and after I applying the prime coating, I realized how great this model is printed. Look at these details on the muscles and on the body. It's really amazing. And I have to show you one more time this medieval castle, but this time I apply prime on it. At first I was afraid that because this model is so tiny it will lose some details, but to my surprise it looks even better than before. Now you can see everything. These tiny trees, bricks, fence, windows on the towers, rocks, pillars in the foundations. Really amazing design 3D model and amazing print quality of this Anycubic Photon. And since I'm a fan of the dragons, I found this collection and I paid $5 for this set of dragons miniatures, and I print them all, and here they are. These guys are so cool and so well designed. They don't require any support material and you can print them 3 at a time. They are printed in the 50 microns or 0.05mm layer height. I love these miniatures, and if you have a spare $5, I recommend to check them. Links for all the models printed in this video review will be in a video description. This dragon has the turtle armor on it. So cool. I love these miniatures. Now, a few months ago when I was testing TiVo Black Widow, I printed this model of the spaceship from the Star Wars in a larger scale, and this time I printed in a tiny scale. How tiny? Well, this tiny. Here is the Millennium Falcon and every single detail is visible. To see all of these tiny details, you practically need macro lens and a good light source to even see them all, because they are so tiny, but they are all there. Cannons on a boat side, landing gear, main deck, everything. Now, after this print, I decided to go even smaller and try to find limit of this printer. I decided to print this make rock and see how much I can go smaller. And here it is. This print turns again totally successfully and in the full details. I even prime it to be able to see these tiny stairs inside the print. It's really impressive that the stairs is printed so well, and it looks like that there is even the text on the top. Come on, really? Something torching peace, I guess? I really need the microscope to even read this text. And for my final print, I decided to print this knife of Egypt again in almost micro size. And here it is. Size of just 1/3 of the finger, and still every detail is printed like in a full size. I was blown away with this amazing quality and almost microscopic level of details on this tiny model. And this is it. I have to say that from now, Anycubic Photon is officially my favorite 3D printer. And I don't care if it's messy, and I don't care if the resin is smelly. For this amazing print quality you have to make some sacrifice. I mean, look at this. You can even see what is inside his ears. Insane. And here they are, all 22 test prints that I printed with the new DLP 3D printer. Only thing now that I'm missing is some paint, and I got myself a new collection of the gorgeous prints thanks to my new Anycubic Photon. And on the end, can I recommend it? Definitely, this is awesome 3D printer. Alright guys, that was my review of Anycubic Photon. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if some of you guys wanna order this 3D printer, please have a look in the links in the video description. Until next time, take care and happy printing. Bye bye.